everybody, Crafting Journey here, that journey chick over on Instagram. Welcome to another episode of Crafting and Crime Daily. I took a couple of days off. I enjoyed it. Got some crafting done. Yesterday was the start of Bag-O-Day Crochet. That's the name of her channel. Bag-O-Day, B-A-G-O-D-A-Y. Bag-O-Day Crochet. Started this crochet along with these little Sesame Street characters. So we got Elmo here. He's not sewn in yet, so he's just kind of sitting here. But I'll sew him in. So this is the first of 9 squares. I'll see if I can lift it up without disturbing Elmo. The first of 9 squares, and I still have to sew in the ends there. For the baby blanket, how cute is that? Now, this has got little what do they call these? Bobbins? Bubbles? You know, I don't know, but it's a cute little pattern. Now, all 9 squares will be different, so we're not going to repeat this square. So we're going to put this away, and then at the end, she's going to teach us how to sew it all together. Now, I just have to keep Elmo away from Stitch. Yes. So how is everybody today? I hope you're having a great day. I don't know when you're watching this, but I hope your day's going well. I gotta get my coffee. Okay, so yeah, big day yesterday. A lot of doctor's appointments. Hey, don't forget to hit the like button on your way in or out of the show today. He has also had a couple of days off, so he's raring to go. So make sure you hit him. You know, take him down a peg or two. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the content. And I think I fixed the link to the membership. So if you've been considering becoming a member, try that link again down in the description. You can always just go to my channel page and there's a join button up at the top. The membership money goes to help support the content of the channel. And don't forget the notification bell because you don't want to miss a single episode. So if you were looking for me yesterday or the day before, I wasn't there. Very busy doing other things. So I had 3 doctor's appointments yesterday. Yep, 3. I had to get my thyroid ultrasound, 7:45 in the morning. And then right after that was the mammogram, booby squish time. And then after that, I had a little time. My next appointment wasn't until 11, the knee doctor. So I had a coupon, or not a coupon, I had a gift card for this little quaint little bookstore called Watermark Books. First I had to find it because it'd been a couple of years since I'd been there. So I found it, and I made a couple purchases, which the gift card was $25. The 2 paperback books were added up to like $45. Books are very expensive nowadays, guys. Very expensive. So I go ahead and I drive over to my 11 o'clock appointment, and I'm there about 30 minutes early. So I think, okay, I'm going to just get a start on one of these books. 1 page in, I'm asleep. Sleeping in the car. I don't know what people thought that were pulling up next to me. But I managed to wake up. You know, it was just a little cat nap, 20 minutes. So I woke up 10 minutes before the appointment. I go in, and they're like, oh, your appointment is tomorrow. I'm like, really? Come on. Is there any chance he can see me today? Now, this was a big gamble because, you know, surgeons have their days where they're in surgery and they're not in the office. So she says, you know, have a seat. I said, you know, I don't have anywhere else to be because I had taken the day off. So I go sit down, and I'm looking at my phone, and she finally calls me over, and she says, yeah, he actually just finished up a surgery, and he's in the building, and he said he'll see you. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. So, long story short, I have my planner out. We're going to put in the date of the surgery. Yes. He did an x-ray. They did an x-ray, and they said, he didn't even examine my knee. He says, he looked at the x-ray. He goes, are you ready to schedule? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to schedule. Yeah, total knee replacement on the left knee. Now I had a partial on the right, but he says, no, this one is way worse. You need a total knee replacement. So that will be on March 28th. It's a Monday, and I can stay like 2 nights after the surgery. So Monday, we're going to have TKR, total knee replacement. I'm going to do all acronyms at KSARC. Oh, I don't think I pronounced that right. I didn't do the right acronym, but I know what I mean. It's the KSARC is the little outpatient place that, well, it's not little, it's quite big. So that will give me enough time to recover and do everything I need to do and be okay for the June crafting retreat. Yay. Yay. Okay. So what else is going on here? Oh, I need to pay the rent. And I do have an unboxing for you that I just need to do the editing on. I did it over the weekend. Unboxing. Diamond Art Club. And which one is it? Oh, it's the dog one. I don't know what they call it. The Black Labrador. That's the name of the painting. Black Labrador. So today is Ash Wednesday. We're going to write that down. Ash. It's already Wednesday. That's what happens when you take 2 days off. Yeah, it's Wednesday. So I'm not a religious person, but we're going to talk a little bit about what Ash Wednesday is. A little bitty anniversary that occurred in 1966. 1966 with the Ford Mustang. On this day in history. Done with the planner for today. Yay! So in the mail this week, one of the things I have purchased was this beautiful, it's a little Ticket to Ride tray from Wilson's 3D Designs. Oh, it has drills in it, so I need to be careful. Yep. So the lid, I'll take the lid off here. It actually says, and you can't really see it there, but it says Ticket to Ride, Destination Paris. How beautiful is this? And it's in this beautiful, like, ivory white color. It came with a pen, which is over there somewhere. With the rest of my pens. I'm collecting a lot of pens. I'm starting to get addicted to collecting another thing. Yes, pens. Who knew? I'll read to you a little bit about Ash Wednesday. I am not a religious person. I don't know if you've guessed that. I just believe there's just too much evidence to the contrary, so we'll just leave it at that. But Ash Wednesday signals the beginning of the Lenten season for Christians. It takes place 46 days before Easter and the day after Shrove Tuesday. I guess we'll have to figure out what Shrove Tuesday is. Those who celebrate Ash Wednesday reflect, fast, repent, and celebrate. The ashes represent death and repentance. And Ash Wednesday services focus on both. In many churches, the ashes are made from the palm branches that are burned for the previous Palm Sunday service. Following a service or mass, the pastor or priest will invite their congregation to receive the ashes on their forehead. A cross pattern or other similar mark is made. It's a solemn day. So this solemn day begins a time of meditation, reflection, self-examination, study, and contemplation when Christians consider their own mortality and sinfulness in preparation for Easter. There you go. That is not anything you will ever see on my forehead. But for those of you who observe this day, yes, it's a solemn day. A day to reflect, and it starts an entire season. 46 days till Easter, though. Okay. I have all this stuff here. What is all this stuff? Oh, this is another little thing that Wilson's 3D Design gave me. This little keychain tray. I've been using it for a trash tag. It's just a miniature of one of their larger trays. Super, super cute. And I even got my Archer's Art tray back out. Yes, I'm just like the tray lady. All over the place. Let's talk about Crafting and Crime Daily. So I'm recapping the trial of William Hussell, Dr. William Hussell, who is a critical care anesthesiologist. He is accused of murdering 14 individuals in Mount Carmel Hospital in Ohio, Grove City, Ohio. The hospital is now known as Mount Carmel Grove City, and it's part of a chain of 4 hospitals up there in Ohio. Small town, 40,000 people. I'm dropping stuff. So Dr. Hussell worked the night shift. He was the critical care doctor in the medical ICU on the night shift. Now this is where people would come in for various reasons, usually medical reasons as opposed to surgical reasons. Most hospitals now have separate ICUs, one for surgical patients, one for medical patients, which I think is a pretty good idea, don't you think so? Anywho, he was in charge of the medical ICU. He was ordering exorbitant, excessive amounts of medication for palliative withdrawal. Fentanyl, Versed, morphine, all to these patients. And what it was is these patients were at the end of life. He would discuss palliative care with the family. And palliative care is where they're not supporting your life. In other words, the family has agreed to pull the plug, so to speak, and take their loved one off of the ventilator. They are intubated. They have a tube down their throat, a machine that is breathing for them. The doctor discusses this with the family. They reach a decision to take the person off of that machine and let them have comfort care until the end of their life. And typically, a physician will order 5 to 10 milligrams of morphine as the extubation is happening. In other words, the doctor is taking the tube out and the patient is getting comfortable, and they're trying to make sure that they're breathing okay and that they're not in too much pain. And they will adjust the dose of the pain medication every 15 minutes. The nurse will be there to assess if the person is in pain, and then will administer more medication. Well, Dr. Hussell was administering for these palliative extubations anywhere from 600 micrograms to 2,000 micrograms of fentanyl, which is like anywhere from 10 to 100 times the dose, 200 times the dose of morphine. You have to do the math, so which I'm not going to do. I don't know why he wasn't giving the morphine. I don't know why he chose fentanyl. So the first 2 days, 2.5 days of testimony were the 2 pharmacists. This all came to light when these 2 nighttime pharmacists did emails to their supervisor. They noticed that orders were coming through for these excessively large doses of fentanyl, and the nurses were pulling the medication out of a machine called the Pyxis machine, which means instead of waiting for the pharmacy to fill the order and bring the medication up to the floor, they would just go to where this machine was, and they would in order to get access to this machine, you had to swipe your badge and then put in your fingerprint. So they would do that, and then they would there was a mechanism that they could override the system to get out whatever medication that they needed. And the only reason you're supposed to be able to override is if it's an emergency or there's going to be a physician at the bedside when the drug is administered. So they would override, and because fentanyl only came in 100 microgram vials, they would sometimes override this thing 10 times in a row to give the 1,000 that they needed to give. Then they would have to override again to get the Versed, then they would override again to get morphine. In one case, there was 10 overrides for fentanyl, 5 overrides for morphine, and then several overrides for this Versed. And it was all to administer during this palliative extubation. So the pharmacists were starting to notice this, because by the time it comes to their attention, the order comes through the system and they see it on their computer, the drug had already been administered. And they were getting, their initial concern was that someone was diverting the drugs. And by diverting, I mean they were just taking it for themselves, which it can happen very easily in a hospital. Lots of opportunity for diversion. So that was their initial concern. And then when it happened again the next night, or on a subsequent night, then they were really becoming concerned. And when they're concerned like that, they have a couple of options in the computer system. They can reject the order or they can verify the order, but they have to do something to get that order from stacking up in their system. So the one pharmacist, he would just verify it to get it off his screen. But he did do an email to his supervisor about this. And when his supervisor came in the next morning, he took his supervisor aside and said, I have a concern. And he voiced his concern. And the supervisor listened to him as he's drinking his coffee. And he says, you need to put in an event report, which I agree. What an event report does is it gets an investigation started. So he does that. He puts it, and they call it, in their system, they called it the voice. This is the voice. I know, I went there too. Okay, so he puts in a voice report, and then the second pharmacist, he comes in, he notices the same thing. He also does an email to the same supervisor. Now, the supervisor, he takes the stand after the 2 pharmacists. So the 2 pharmacists are on the stand for the first 2 days, and then their supervisor comes in and he acknowledges everything that they said was true, that you have to verify or reject the order to get it out of the system, that there's really not much they can do. They can make a phone call to the doctor, which they did try to do. The one guy said he did try to call the medical ICU and they weren't picking up the phone, and then he got called to the ER and he got called away and he never came back to it. But both of those pharmacists did the right thing. They reported it. Now what's supposed to happen, and this is what the supervisor explained, with that voice report that was made, is that report would go to peer review. The doctor should have gone in front of a group of his own peers. Every hospital has what they call peer review, which is a committee of physicians that they get together. It's a very secretive process. No one has access to it. They don't take notes. You're not allowed to talk about it outside the meeting, but it was his understanding that at peer review, they would look at Dr. Hussell's orders and the appropriateness of those orders for this palliative withdrawal. But apparently that did not happen because they canceled the meeting. So he elevates it to the risk manager and he says, this has happened again. We really need to get this to peer review. And she agrees to get it to peer review. Now, we don't know whether it ever got to peer review. He doesn't know if it ever went to peer review. And unfortunately, before his cross-examination is over, it's the end of the day. The judge dismisses everybody. He tells him, we will be in touch with you when we can continue your testimony, because the next day they had set up for a physician to appear from another country by Zoom. So they didn't know when they were going to get back to this guy, the supervisor. So the next day we have this a second critical care physician who also worked in this medical ICU at night. He was the equivalent of Dr. William Hussell. Now, I don't know if he was also an anesthesiologist. He did not mention that, but he did mention that he was board certified in critical care. He had to appear by Zoom because he had a family emergency. He's from another country. He was in that country, but it was very good. Like the reception was fantastic. You could understand everything he was saying. It was as if he was right there in the courtroom. He testified that when he would work 1 week on, 1 week off, so Dr. Hussell would work the opposite week. He said they never discussed patient encounters. They did not discuss patient care with each other. Their only discussions with each other were, scheduling, logistical things behind the scenes. So he described that when he does a palliative withdrawal, he administers 5 to 10 milligrams of morphine, which is really what the order set says. There was an order set in place. Now, what is an order set? You're like, what's an order set, Rebecca? It's a set of orders that's just pre-made. You just take out the piece of paper. Well, in my day, it was a piece of paper. Now it's an electronic medical record. So you pull up this order set for palliative withdrawal or palliative extubation. And there's all the orders right there for you. And you just put check marks next to the ones you want. And for medication, it says 5 to 10 milligrams. You can choose 5, you can choose 10 of morphine. And this is all he ever used, plus 2 milligrams of Versed. So, and Versed is a benzodiazepine. It just, it enhances the effects of the morphine, causes you to relax. Versed, I'm telling you what, the best sleep you'll ever get is on the medication Versed. So this is how he did his extubations. He never used fentanyl. Now, I did not finish listening to his testimony, but they have not gotten into asking him why or why not. He did say that he had never had any issue with any patient using this 5 to 10 milligrams of morphine to get them extubated, pulling the tube out for palliative withdrawal. It had never been an issue, so he always follows the order set. He says, I like order sets, I always follow the order sets. We don't know why Dr. Hussell did not. And they never discussed it because he said they never discussed patient encounters. Now, from the little bit I've heard about the different patients that he is accused of murdering is that at least one was 37 years old. He had been found down in his home in the bathroom, likely a drug overdose. He had been resuscitated 5 times en route to the hospital. He gets to the hospital, he's got very low blood pressure, clearly has a anoxic brain injury. In other words, he went for some period of time without oxygen getting to his brain, so he has brain damage. So at some point, Dr. William Hussell talks that family into withdrawing life support from this 37-year-old man, because even if he ever recovered his quality of life with the brain damage, they don't even know how that would have affected him. So they agree to that, and he uses these enormous amounts of drugs to get him extubated. Now, one of the arguments that the defense keeps pointing out is that in the OR, the anesthesiologists in the OR, they don't put orders into a system. The pharmacist never sees what they give. And if you look back on some of their orders, there's, I don't know if it was the same gentleman, but one of the 14 people that Dr. Hussell's accused of murdering had a prior dose of fentanyl during an OR procedure of, 14,000 plus milligrams of fentanyl, which is 140 vials. One of the things that the prosecution has done is they brought in a bag of vials, and to emphasize how much fentanyl this is, every time they're talking about the withdrawal from the pyxis of these vials, they line them up on the counter. So you'll see 10 vials of this and 5 vials of that. Yeah, ridiculous. Now, I would assume that in the OR they have much larger dosage concentrations in the vials that they have versus the 100 microgram vials that come out of the Pyxis machine. So the plot thickens. More to come on this. Now I'm in day 4. So I am still behind on this trial, but I'm catching up. And I will make sure that you don't miss a thing. So don't worry. Let's talk about this day in history, shall we? So on March 2nd, it's March already, can you believe it? On March 2nd, 1966, Ford rolls out the 1 millionth Mustang. Ford Mustang. Now raise your hand if you've ever had a Ford Mustang. Yep, I had the most beautiful Ford Mustang. It was this beautiful color blue. My ex-husband used to say, "Is this your midlife crisis vehicle?" And I'm thinking, that's what you want to call it. Yeah, I loved the car. I loved that car. Yeah, I guess it just, for some reason I ended up trading it in for a truck. I don't know why. Yeah. But yeah, I had a beautiful Ford Mustang. So the Ford Motor Company celebrates the productions of its 1 millionth Mustang, a white convertible. The sporty, affordable vehicle officially launched 2 years earlier. April 17th, 1964, at the World's Fair in Flushing Meadow, New York. That same day, the new car debuted in Ford showrooms across America. Almost immediately, buyers snapped up nearly 22,000 of them. More than 400,000 Mustangs were sold within their first year, exceeding sales expectations. The Mustang was conceived as a working man's Thunderbird. According to Ford, the first models featured a long hood, a short rear deck, and chassis based on the compact Ford Falcon. The Mustang was available in a hardtop, coupe, or convertible and carried an average price tag of $2,300. Oh my God. $2,300! Do you remember the Price is Right? The car prices always kept going up over the years. Oh my God. $2,300 for a Mustang. Wow, inflation. But they sold 1 million in 2 years. Holy moly. Ford's general manager, Lee Iacocca, became president of the company in October 1964 and later headed the Chrysler, which he was credited for reviving in the 1980s, was involved in the Mustang's development and marketing. The car's launch generated great interest. The Mustang was featured on the covers of Newsweek and Time magazine the night before it went on sale. This is good marketing. The Mustang was promoted in commercials that ran simultaneously on 3 major television networks. One buyer in Texas reportedly slept at a Ford showroom until his check cleared and he could drive his new Mustang home. The same year it debuted, the Mustang appeared on the silver screen in the James Bond movie Goldfinger. A green 1968 Mustang GT was famously featured in the 1968 Steve McQueen action movie Bullet. To date, Mustangs have appeared in hundreds of movies. Within the next 3 years of its debut, approximately 500 Mustang fan clubs had cropped up. In 1999, in honor of Mustang's 35th anniversary, the U.S. Postal System issued a stamp commemorating the original model. So you can go to the post office if you're a Mustang fan and get Mustang stamps. So let me know in the comments if you ever had a Mustang. I did, and I really enjoyed driving it. I really did. That was a fun vehicle. It really was. So that is the show for today. Tonight I will be on, there is no Craft With Me Wednesday because once a month for the temperature cross-stitch along, will either be on my channel or on the Crafty Heifers channel. So this month we are on the Crafty Heifers channel. It was supposed to be last week. It is tonight. I will be on the Crafty Heifers channel. I'll try to put a link down in the description once she puts up that to her video. And I will see you there. I'll show you my progress on the bookcase. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I'll be working from home. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care.